Hello and welcome to Stuffs You Missed. Today, we continue our series on Indonesia. We journey deep into the heart of Java, where old houses creak beneath humid air and the past lingers in shadows. Here, stories are rarely just stories. Origin and identity, Sundel Bolong is a female revenant in Indonesian folklore, a figure of profound terror and sorrow, particularly well known on the island of Java. While she is often grouped with other vengeful female spirits like the Kuntilanak or Pontianak, Sundel Bolong possesses a distinct identity forged in the crucible of Javanese social history. Her myth does not simply describe a ghost haunting the night. It serves as a dark mirror, reflecting how society has historically treated women who fell outside the strict moral norms imposed by culture, religion, and power. Her story is one not merely of supernatural horror, but of profound social judgment, systemic injustice, and the terrible weight of silenced female suffering. She is the ghost born from secrets and shame, a spectral testament to cruelty hidden behind closed doors. To understand Sundel Bolong is to first dissect her name, for it reveals everything about her cultural positioning. The word Sundel is derived from Javanese slang, a deeply pejorative term for a promiscuous woman, a prostitute, or any woman deemed immoral. It is not a neutral descriptor, but a weaponized insult loaded with judgment, shame, and moral condemnation. The second part of her name, Bolong, simply means whole. Together, Sundel Bolong literally translates to the woman with a hole or the prostitute with a hole. This name is not merely a description of her horrifying physical form. It is a brutal symbolic branding. It signifies how society has historically marked certain women as damaged, broken, and unworthy of dignity, reducing their entire being to a mark of perceived impurity. The name itself is an act of social violence, a label that perpetuates the very shame that created her. Historical background, the genesis of the Sundel Bolong myth is complex, but many scholars believe it developed as a powerful tool for social control, its roots likely deepening during the turbulent Dutch colonial era. This period brought significant economic hardship and social disruption to Java, leading to an increase in prostitution as women sought means of survival in impoverished urban centers. In this context, the tale of a vengeful, violated ghost served as a potent cautionary narrative. It was employed to discourage women from entering prostitution and, more broadly, to police female sexuality at a time of social flux. The story reinforced patriarchal authority by linking female autonomy or perceived promiscuity not just with social loss, but with a monstrous, eternally damned afterlife. It became a folklore mechanism to maintain a rigid moral order, where the consequences of transgression were supernatural and absolute. Origin story, the origin of Sundel Bolong, is a narrative steeped in tragedy and violence. She is not a demon born of inherent evil, but the spirit of a mortal woman who suffered an unbearable fate. According to the most common versions of her legend, she was a woman who was brutally raped, abused, or deceived by a man. As a result of this violation, she became pregnant outside of marriage, a status that brought catastrophic shame upon her in a society that prized female purity above all else. To hide this disgrace, she was either abandoned by her family, rejected by her community, or, in the darkest tellings, murdered by the man who assaulted her or by her own family to erase the evidence of the shame. Her death is often said to have occurred during childbirth, a moment of supreme vulnerability. In a grotesque and supernatural twist, her spirit is unable to find peace. The baby, trapped with her in death, is said to have been born posthumously, clawing its way out through her back. This final, horrifying act creates the infamous hole that defines her ghostly form and forever binds her to her trauma. The appearance of Sundel Bolong is a study in duality, representing the chasm between public facade and private torment. From the front, she appears as a stunningly beautiful woman, often with long, flowing black hair that cascades down her back, and dressed in a pristine, flowing white gown, a color that ironically symbolizes purity. She uses this alluring form to draw her victims near a mask of beauty concealing an abyss of suffering. It is only when she turns that her true, horrifying nature is revealed. Her back is dominated by a large, gaping, and often decaying hole, through which her mangled internal organs and viscera are gruesomely exposed. In some variations of the myth, the ghastly undead infant is still visible within this cavity. This stark contrast between her beautiful face and her mutilated back is powerfully symbolic. It represents the hidden suffering, the unspoken trauma, and the deep wounds that can lie concealed behind a carefully constructed exterior of normalcy or beauty. Sundel Bolong is a creature of the night, a nocturnal specter whose presence is a harbinger of dread. She is most often sighted in desolate, liminal spaces, perched silently on rooftops, lurking in the high branches of banyan trees, wandering down deserted roads, or haunting the quiet confines of graveyards. Her arrival is often announced by a sound that is both chilling and sorrowful. Sometimes it is a high-pitched, eerie laugh that seems to mock the living. At other times, it is a seductive whisper meant to lure men to their doom. Most disturbingly, she may carry or imitate the sound of a crying baby, a heartbreaking echo of the child she lost and can never hold. Her behavior is primarily driven by a thirst for vengeance. She specifically targets men, especially those who exploit, abuse, or insult women. She becomes the avenging angel for those who, like her, were wronged and silenced, turning her pain into a terrifying weapon. The victims of Sundel Bolong are almost exclusively men, and her methods of revenge are often deeply symbolic. She preys upon adulterous husbands, abusive men, or those who frequent prostitutes, seeing in them the echoes of her own violator. In the most graphic folkloric accounts, her punishment is castration, a symbolic act of retribution that directly attacks the source of her violation, and the symbol of masculine power that led to her demise. However, her tragedy also extends to another category of victim: children. Consumed by a desperate, maternal longing for the child she lost, she is sometimes said to kidnap living babies and toddlers, taking them to the spirit world to raise as her own. This aspect of her myth transforms her from a simple figure of vengeance into a profoundly tragic one. She is not purely evil. Her actions are born of an all-consuming grief and a rage rooted in injustice, making her a complex figure of both terror and pity. Cultural meaning beyond the surface-level horror. Sundel Bolong is a potent cultural symbol with deep and resonant meanings. She embodies the profound gender injustice that has long pervaded patriarchal societies, where women are held to impossible standards of purity while male transgressions are often excused. She is the ultimate symbol of a ghost whose monstrosity is a direct result of the violence and shame inflicted upon her by others, yet she is the one who is labeled immoral. Her story is a powerful allegory for patriarchal oppression and the deep-seated fear of untamed female sexuality. In her, we see the collective ghosts of countless women who were silenced by shame, their stories buried, and their suffering ignored by a hypocritical social order. She represents the unresolved trauma that festers when injustice is left to fester in the dark. Protection and beliefs in the communities where her story is told. Belief in Sundel Bolong comes with a set of traditional precautions. To avoid an encounter with her, people are warned not to walk alone at night, especially through dark and isolated areas. Her distinct haunting sounds are a key warning sign. A common piece of advice is to never follow the sound of a woman laughing or a baby crying in the dead of night. For those who feel her presence or fear they are being targeted, religious faith is seen as the ultimate shield. The recitation of Islamic prayers and verses from the Quran is believed to offer powerful protection capable of repelling her and other malevolent spirits. At its core, the moral lesson embedded in her myth is a timeless and universal one, a call for the respect of women and the fundamental dignity of every human being. Modern representation in modern pop culture, particularly in Indonesian horror films, Sundel Bolong has become an iconic figure of fear. However, this mainstream representation has often come at a cost. She is frequently reduced to a one-dimensional scary image, a jump scare monster whose primary function is to frighten the audience. This focus on pure horror often strips away the deeper, more complex layers of her story. The social commentary, the critique of patriarchy, and the profound tragedy of her origin are often lost, overshadowed by a need for cinematic thrills. While these films have cemented her place in the public imagination, they have also flattened her meaning, turning a powerful symbol of social injustice into a simpler, more consumable monster. So what makes Sundel Bolong so unique among the pantheon of global ghosts is the powerful social and moral commentary woven into her very being. Unlike many spirits who are simply malevolent entities, her monstrosity is directly linked to societal hypocrisy. She is not a demon. She is a product of human cruelty. Modern scholars and folklorists increasingly see her not just as a monster from a bygone era, but as a symbol of unresolved trauma, a spectral manifestation of what happens when a society refuses to acknowledge its own injustices. Indonesian folklore has never existed, only to frighten it has served as memory, warning, and social mirror. Among the many spirits said to walk the archipelago, few are as unsettling and misunderstood as Sundel Bolong. Her true story is far darker, rooted not in supernatural terror alone, but in human cruelty, social judgment, and the silencing of women. Thank you for watching till the end. Hit subscribe for more unheard stories from the Javanese islands.